Generations Bank has been serving the financial needs of the Finger Lakes region since 1870. Generations combines the best of modern banking with dedication to the local community. Visit them at mygenbank.com. Generations Bank, member FDIC, and equal housing lender.
All right, everybody, welcome in. We are back. Fresh Takes, summertime. In the schedule of that, Paul Russo and Nick Felice here with you. Quick note, don't expect anything to happen, but we're going to rush through little things here. If you're a listener or watcher of the pod and you aren't live or even day of, as you might know, some weather coming through the area right now. So we're going to plow through this, get as much through as we can. If you see us kind of looking at our phones momentarily, there's reasons for that. I do know, not to get too off topic here off the bat, Nick. I don't mean to, but there's already been at least one confirmed tornado out in western New York. I saw. Yeah. So, the cells moving through are definitely capable of producing. So if you are happen to be watching live or listening live right now, and you're kind of in the path of these cells, do not take these warnings lightly. They are legitimate, so hopefully everybody's staying safe right now and everything like that. But for now, for us, we're going to plow through here, get through what we need to. Nick, good seeing you. I haven't seen you in over a week now because I was out of state for the 4th, and I know you were you stayed home pretty much, I think, all weekend, right? You kept it quiet. That's rare for you on these types of holidays.
Yeah, kept it quiet. July 4th. What did I do? Nothing.
Yeah.
I did nothing.
Crazy.
Yeah, kept it quiet. Thanks for letting everyone know.
Sorry.
How was your trip?
It was good. Didn't golf, which was one of the things I really wanted to do, but we were able to still make the most of it. So, no complaints. It was nice. I helped launch a boat, which was pretty cool. Never really had the opportunity to do that.
The boat launch.
Yeah, it's not as great as, say, the big cruise liners or anything like that, but it was still cool to help out. And
I have no idea. I wouldn't know how to start it. I assume you just drop it in the water.
Yeah, you back it. Well, it depends really, but you back
your truck goes in the water too, right?
Correct. Backed it down the boat launch. Truck did not go into the water. They you keep it out of the water, but the trailer goes into the water, and So, before we get any further, thank our sponsors. Obviously, off the jump, Generations Bank, but also Lincoln Hill Farms. Quench your thirst for a good time at Brewfest 2024 on Saturday, August 3rd at Lincoln Hill Farms in Canandaigua. Enjoy premier craft beer from the Finger Lakes and beyond. Live music, local vendors, stunning views in the heart of the Finger Lakes countryside, and one-of-a-kind entertainment experience that you won't want to miss. Get ready for good tunes, good vibes, and a great time at Brewfest 2024. Tickets are on sale now at LincolnHillFarms.com. We might need to check that out, me and you, Nick.
Sounds like a great sponsor right there.
We are big, me and Nick obviously are big beer guys around here, so that kind of sounds up our alley. We might have to check that out. And, of course, the Lux Hotel and Conference Center is the next great location for your overnight stay, wedding, event, reception, meeting space, and more. On-site food and beverage at Woody's Bar and Grill. You'll find everything you're looking for in one spot. Contact them today to inquire about your next opportunity. So, really, the main stuff to kind of get to today, and it's kind of funny that really the main leadoff topic is the NBA and NHL off seasons. The new year's technically started for them. We have free agency and trades happening. We'll touch on the major ones in both. I wanted to talk a little bit of baseball today too, which we're going to do, Nick. It's kind of funny that your Pirates are actually kind of in on one of the main hot rumors right now, at least today anyway, in terms of roster stuff. So we'll get to that. I don't know
what happened.
You haven't seen it? Apparently the Pirates are the front runners for Taylor Ward right now from the Angels. So
it's not that eye-popping, but...
Well, I think it has to do more with the fact you have a surplus of infield prospects, and my guess is probably shoring up one of the corner outfield spots. Well,
I did not know this.
Is Brian Reynolds, he's still predominantly center field, right?
Left field.
So this is probably, I feel like if they bring in Ward, Might be the end of Sawinski and or Michael A. Taylor in Pittsburgh. We'll get to that, though. Let's begin,
Won't miss much.
Well, let's begin, though, Nick. I'm going to go right to you on this one pretty much once I get this teed up here. We joked about it on the internet for the better part of the second half of the NBA season, and the Knicks went ahead and got it done.
Yes.
The Mikal Bridges trade was kind of the unofficial start of the NBA offseason, in a way. And you get that part kind of going. That's actually, we discussed this topic already, but now it's kind of caused, I think, a lot of the – I hate calling them role players because to me, like, some of these guys who are signed aren't role players or, that step above, right? But it kind of caused this cavalcade of moves to kind of begin. And, it's kind of funny seeing now on the back end of this. We're mostly done, I think, with the moves kind of in both the NBA and NHL, but crazier stuff's happened. But coming out of this offseason, first couple weeks here, the Knicks, in my mind, put themselves in a pretty good spot here amongst the East. A couple others, obviously, that we'll get to here, obviously, like the Sixers. Boston's kind of, they're keeping status quo, which, for winning a championship, you kind of got to do to a degree. But, the East, other than that, kind of quiet, weirdly. The Heat didn't do anything. They were kind of out on everybody.
The Bucks didn't do anything.
The Bucks, who, to me, they're the ones who, like, they're the head scratcher in this, right? Like, you have Giannis and Lillard. I don't want to kind of put him to the side on this, but, Lillard, admittedly, is probably on the back half of his career, right? Giannis just getting to his apex. If not, he's already there, either or. But, like, Giannis has already expressed some frustration before the Lillard thing happened and didn't go well. And now, when there was possibility of getting guys, the Bucks just didn't do it. Yeah. And now it's kind of set this up for, I guess, really the Atlantic Division outside of, I guess, really Toronto here. And the Nets. poor Brooklyn. Anyway, kind of sets it up as kind of, in my mind, a three-horse race. The Knicks, the Sixers, and obviously the Celtics in the East. And I don't have the same vibe out West, but it's very similar to me how I kind of view things out West. But, for the East, this Atlantic Division kind of has become the hotbed for the NBA, at least coming out of the first couple weeks of the offseason.
Yeah. I'll offer you $50 million a year. I don't want you to be disrespected, though. Not a big fan of that.
I am disrespected.
Yeah, Paul George, he went down in my rankings of favorite players. Down, he wasn't very high up, but
up there.
He wasn't very high.
Oh, okay.
Everyone's on the list.
Fair enough.
Someone's got to be at the bottom. I think. Who stood? Maybe Halliburton's last. But
you read the Halliburton thing only because of Wally. Like, Wally's the only reason why you read Hallie.
Whatever. What was I talking about? Paul George.
$50 million.
Yeah, $50 million. The Sixers, I mean, sure, people can say what they want. People are, can have their own opinion. And the people that are saying that the Sixers are better than the Knicks right now are wrong. And good. I mean, it was a good, I don't even think it was a week. When they traded for Bridges before they signed Paul George, I don't even know if that was a week. But for that week or less, people were saying that the Knicks were the biggest threats to the Celtics. Now that's not it. Now this is not the case anymore. Now they say it's the Sixers. But I like having not the pressure on our backs. So I think with having Bridges, with getting OG back, yes, we lose Hartenstein, but this is a team that has already tons of chemistry, can already play legit defense, arguably probably the best in the league, and they're right there, and they're right there with the Celtics. They're not just right there for the Celtics in the Eastern Conference. They're right there with the Celtics for winning the whole thing. So I think, yes, Sixers have had a good offseason. They brought in Paul George, but I don't want to be that guy. But, man, how many times have we said Paul George was this big offseason signing? Like, let's get over it. He's a good player, but he's not this X-factor player that everyone thinks he is. He's never won anything. So, and yes, I know Bridges has never won anything either, but you can't win with a big three anymore. And the Sixers have this big three with Embiid, Maxey, and George. They have no bench. The bench is mediocre at best. Losing Tobias Harris. That was one of their, as much as he did not pan out for them, he was one of their players they leaned on. So they lost him. I don't know. I'm not sold on that Sixer bench. And I think the Knicks got arguably the best bench in the league. Right up there with the Celtics, who have a great bench as well. So, to answer your question, I don't even know if you gave me a question, Paul.
I just kind of teed it up.
But to answer
again, not to interrupt. I apologize. We do have some stuff happening to the west, so go ahead.
The Western Conference?
No. The Ontario County, like Geneva, like.
They're in the NBA?
No, they have a tornado warning, and there's one on the ground apparently, allegedly heading.
Really?
So.
How big are these tornadoes?
I don't know.
My man Reed Timmer.
Reed's the one tweeting about it. That's how I'm like.
Is he here?
No, he's not here.
Oh.
I apologize, but keep going. I just update again here.
To answer your question you never gave me, I do think the Knicks are better than the Sixers. There you go. Off-season wise, it's not your most exciting off-season in the world. We kind of knew where these people were going to go. We knew George was probably going to go to the Sixers. We knew Harden was going to sign back with the Clippers. We knew – actually, I didn't know Chris Paul was going to the Spurs. Chris Paul's been on so many teams now. I lose track what team he's on now. But
it's with the Spurs, yeah.
The Spurs.
Yeah.
He should just hang it up.
Yeah.
For a little bit there, Chris Paul, everywhere he went, he turned the team into a winner. I don't know if he's that type of player anymore, but we knew Klay Thompson was going to go away from the Warriors, which when you first heard it was kind of shocking, but he went to Dallas. Good for them. He probably had the worst year of his career last year, so we'll see how he does. And I don't know. Pacers re-signed Siakam. That was big. Quickly got a big deal with the Raptors. That was pretty crazy. DeRozan going to the Kings. Kind of interesting.
Yeah, can we get into the Bulls a little bit here, I guess, for a second?
Trading Caruso.
Well, yeah, so they do the Caruso and Giddey swap, which
I was in Chicago at the time.
I think we knew. Yeah, you're right. That happened. We were still talking. We never really talked about it. Yeah, that was definitely more so for the Thunder, I think, right? Like they had to get a second guard in there that can handle point guard duties from Shea.
Not to interrupt.
Yeah.
You were the one that was saying Giddey was struggling in the playoffs.
He was, though. I mean, they didn't use him at all. He was a starting 5 player all year for them, and then when it came time in the playoffs, he wasn't out there in crunch time. And he was probably going to be the one that was going to be moved, right? Like, you look around that team, and then it's pretty indicative, right? They bring in Hartenstein, right? It's pretty indicative, like, what they were probably aiming to do, right? The Bulls, on the other hand, it's kind of mind-boggling to me. So you unload DeRozan, who clearly was unhappy by the end there, right? Can't blame him, right? I mean, he's only probably got a couple really good years left, put it that way, right? And excuse me. So he wants to go to a winning situation, which Sacramento, maybe not top-tier title contender, right? But, like, that secondary tier where it's just like, if things fall right, I could see it. Like, I'm not going to sit here and deny it. Also back closer to home for him anyway, but.
Where's he from?
He's from L.A., but, I mean, you're back on the West Coast, either way. But for the Bulls, they can't even unload Zach LaVine now. Like, LaVine's a very negative asset. Go back to your Chris Paul point. They effectively were offering a swap of sorts where it was like LaVine for Chris Paul and Wiggins, and the Warriors said no, only to waive him like 2 hours later. Like, I don't know what's going on in Chicago. It's really mind-boggling to me. I feel bad for, some of the players there, like Pat Williams, for example. They've been decimated by injury.
Lonzo's still there.
Lonzo's still there, but does he ever play again? Right? Like, that type of deal. You have a coach who's, Billy Donovan's effectively in purgatory right now, but, like, I feel like he assumed he'd rather be fired or let go at this point, right?
Rain starting in 11 minutes.
So, but like, if you're Billy Donovan, right, like, you'd assume be fired at this point, probably, to a degree. For being a big market team, I just, and this is something now we can go back 25 plus years, going back to when Jordan and that 98 team got disbanded. Like, I don't know what their end goal is. Like, the Central, to me, you do have to give credence to the Bucks, right? Obviously, and I know it pains you, but, like, it's pretty much like, to me, like, it's a lot like the Atlantic in a way, but, like, to a very lesser degree, right? Like, it's the Pacers, it's the Bucks, and the Cavs. None of them, to me, are on those other three level. I could be wrong. Like, to be fair, the Sixers are, like, one knee for Embiid or Paul George snap away from being the same team they were this past year, if not worse. Like, we can dunk on some of these guys all we want, right? But, like, at that point, like, you probably do wish you still had Tobias Harris hanging around and Nick Batum hanging around.
Mm-hmm.
They're both gone now. Harris is in Detroit. Batum's out with the Clippers. And maybe that's a perfect bridge, right? To, like, we look at the Clippers, who, surprisingly didn't really make them. They did make a move for Paul George, but, like,
It's very disrespectful.
Like, if you're the Clippers, and, like, this Kawhi stuff that happened today with the Olympic team is kind of interesting. Kawhi's not done. Like, you have to wonder at this point moving forward what he is, right? Like, the Clippers are a legitimate, like, borderline lottery team at best, should Kawhi miss more than 20 games, which at this point, I expect him to miss 20 games. Like, that's just the way it is. The Western Conference now is
Wild West.
It's open, but, like, not in a good way. Like, and that's the interesting part of this to me, where it's just like, you're just sitting here talking about how, like, the East only has 3 teams, but, like, to me, it's like those 3 teams are better than most of the teams out West anyway.
So what you're saying is that the Lakers are going to sneak through.
The Lakers, I go back to what I've said now the past 2, like, preview shows we've done for the NBA. Like, just out of principle, they should be in the playoffs. And they never can be effectively solidified in there, so it's like whatever. But, yeah, you still have LeBron. You still have – if I'll put it to you this way. You still have, obviously, LeBron. Excuse me.
Which LeBron?
Yeah. Touche. But if people, and I'm not one of them, but if people want to put Anthony Davis on this pedestal that people want to put him on, then this should be a no question mark team in the playoffs anyway.
So you put him on Cat's pedestal.
He's on the same plane for me, yeah. He has been for a while now. It just is what it is. But, like, that's what I mean when I go back to, like, say, Sacramento, where it's just like, yeah, if things break right, I can see them, like, in the Western Conference Finals, no problem. Like Phoenix is a mess. I don't care the fact that they still have Booker and Beal and Durant. Like, and I don't mean any disrespect to Budenholzer. I am probably one of the few guys out here who thinks Budenholzer's a good coach.
I like him.
But, like, you fire Vogel for what is a very lateral move in my mind. Like, I think Vogel's a very good head coach.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a very lateral move you go from Vogel to Budenholzer.
I mean, it's not surprising the Lakers won championship is with Vogel.
Yeah, like I mean, like I get it. Like I mean, I know you really live by this one, and I get it. Like it was the bubble, but like to a degree, right? Like there still is like the challenge that you had to deal with in there, right? But at the end of the day, he was the coach there. Like if there was ever been a coach in the NBA, recently speaking, anyway, who's gotten the most out of a lot of guys, it's been Vogel. I think you can make the case for like Spoelstra, and now like Thibodeau's gotten in that conversation a little bit, and like those guys. But like think about like the past, I will really push it like 15, 20 years when Vogel's come on the scene. He's the one who gave those Heat teams a bunch of trouble back in the day. You know what I mean?
He just didn't have LeBron.
Correct. And to be fair, he's probably, especially in those 13 and 14 years, he's probably a collective like 8 possessions away from making it happen. You know what I mean? Like it's just one of those things where it's like whatever. We're going down a completely different path here, but
Good times. Those are some good.
yeah, I mean, this is just the way it is. Like the NBA to me right now is at an interesting spot. The second we're going to see really this year the second apron kind of take hold and kind of see how teams can, or I guess really for the better term, can't operate in a way. I think there's only 2 teams right now that aren't at the second apron in terms of like what they can do without having any quote unquote restrictions and stuff like that. I think it's like the Pistons and it might be the Bulls. I can't remember.
The thing about with the NBA right now, you have those 10 teams in your head that can contend for a championship. At least 2 of them are probably going to have down years and going to have a disappointing season.
Yeah. Yeah.
And some of them are going to surprise you. You can't determine that yet. I don't know who it would be, but if I had to take one guess which one will be disappointing, I'm going to go with the Dallas Mavericks.
I'm gonna push back only because
you like Quentin Grimes.
Yeah. And it pains me because I'm not a Mavericks guy. But like the only reason I'm gonna push back is just the fact that nobody expected them to be where they were this year. In to the point that like regression is gonna be their only option. Like they didn't get better either in the past couple weeks. So
is Jason Kidd a good coach?
Yeah, I think he's good. I don't know if he's great, obviously. But
better than JJ Redick?
I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say yeah for now anyway. Yeah, I just the Lakers.
Thoughts of that?
I mean, so you talk about disappointing, right? Like I feel like the Lakers are going to be that this year, and it's hard not to, I guess, say in the past handful of years really say it's been them anyway. But like this whole Bronny deal. I mean,
You're on board with it?
I'm on board with him getting picked late in the draft, obviously. But they gave him a guaranteed contract for a 55th overall pick.
I don't think he's good enough to play in this league.
I don't want to go that far yet because, excuse me, don't mean to keep doing that, but like, not to sound like the homer here, but like the Heat do this every year. They end up with like 2 guys. Like the perfect example right now is Haywood Highsmith, who comes from Division II Wheeling State, 6+ years ago, give or take, and now it's turned into a guy who he's got a 2-year, $11 million deal as a rotation guy.
Gabe Vincent.
Right, but there's degrees of this, right, to certain extents. The Heat are just the ones who really exploit it really well within their own team. I mean, the only player really out of this system in the past 10 years to really, and again, small sample size, but to like have really gone out when they left the Heat and performed equal, if not better, has been Max Strus this past year in Cleveland. So I don't know.
Shabazz Napier never made it up. Never made it though.
Yeah, the guy that LeBron wanted the Heat to draft for him to stay, and he left anyway.
Yeah.
Let's talk hockey for a quick minute. What were the moves for you out of any that surprised you in the NHL?
What about your boy Steven Stamkos?
There it is. I knew you were going to go right there. It does hurt a little bit.
It's like he left the family.
Well, I can't. It's the right move, letting him walk. He wanted that extra year, that fourth year that Nashville gave him. Lightning only wanted to do 3. I think the Lightning were willing to do the same amount of money average year annually that he's getting up in Nashville, which I think is 8. I think it's an 8, 4 by 8, 8 or 8.5 or something like that. But it's funny. I was talking with a family friend about this because he's also a Lightning fan. He lives in Tampa. He's lived in Tampa since the inception of the team. So we're going back to at least '92, obviously. But, like, the Lightning have never had any of their players actually retire as a member of the Lightning. Like Vinny LeCavalier, Marty St. Louis, obviously now Stamkos. And at least it's looking like Hedman's going to do that. But it still is going to hurt. Now, Nashville very clearly is going all in on this year.
They got a lot of people.
They are very clearly going all in on this year. To the Lightning's credit, I mean, they go out and they get Gunsel, which is pretty big. Obviously, it's retooling a little bit of the front line. You know, it's interesting. They're in on Vetrano, which I don't know if that's going to fully happen, but either way. You know, the NHL offseason kind of got off to, you know, for the hockey people, it got off to probably a really more raucous start than even the NBA did. Like, that opening couple hours of NHL free agency was kind of wild to keep track of because there was also a little bit of a flurry of trades going on between guys and teams. And I forget the guy's name, I feel bad, but the former goalie of Vegas, Thompson, gets traded. And he's in Vegas doing a team event, more or less. And I guess the team told him, like, take off your hat. And he goes, I'm not taking off the hat. I'll turn it backwards so I don't show the logo, but I'm not taking off the hat. So stuff like that was happening. Just crazy, crazy stuff.
I like the guy the Rangers got from Pittsburgh, Riley.
Yeah. Yeah, things just didn't go right for him in Pittsburgh.
Played for Vegas, right?
Yeah. Very good player. Just didn't go right in Pittsburgh. That happens. We see it all the time in other sports with players in certain teams that it just doesn't get going right. Yeah, if you're the Rangers, I mean, it's kind of the right move to make of sorts anyway. You know, you kind of bring in another veteran in addition to these young guys who obviously perform really well. And a guy who, in theory, should help you take that next step, you know, along in this progression at this point if you're them. So, all in all, can't complain, I'd say, too much with the Rangers.
That draft, man. And that bubble there, freaky.
The sphere.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I'm ever going to go on that thing. That thing is just creepy looking.
You're in Vegas. You've been to Vegas more so than me, obviously.
Yeah. Once is more than one.
I thought you've been there a couple times. Just the one time? Well, Matt, I know. Well, obviously your parents
Matt's
go
been
a
like
lot,
3.
but your parents go a lot in relative terms. But yeah, Matt's been there. Were you there when the Sphere was completed, or not?
No, last time our family went was 2019. That's when
I thought you went there more recent than that. Really? Huh.
The Mirage is leaving, I think, next week too.
Well, thanks, Jeff Fisher. It's one of those things. I don't know. We're going down a different topic with that, but I mean, I kind of want to go. When I go to Vegas, I at least want to see it from the outside. Inside, there is an element though inside where I've seen video where it's like this is actually kind of trippy. Like,
yeah.
But either way.
Yeah, I don't know if I can do that. But what do you think of the first pick there? Stud?
Yeah, I mean, hockey, it's always kind of that deal, right? For the most part, the number ones tend to, you know, even if they don't live up to their potential, are usually still, you know, really, really good. Obviously, I don't think Bedard level. Could be wrong. Ultimately, kind of hope I am wrong in that sense, but yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I didn't pay attention a ton actually to the first round this year because the Lightning didn't have any first round picks. So
Jack Hughes level?
Probably closer to that. Yeah. Well, Hughes, to be fair, I don't know if he technically lived up to expectation yet.
He had a down year last year.
Yeah.
He didn't really do well.
Yeah.
But he was pretty good 2 years ago, and he's definitely looking like a lot better than Kopko, even though Kopko just signed a deal, I think.
Capco.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty. You got some interesting stuff to figure out in New York still yet, but yeah, I don't know. Either way, let's get to some baseball stuff here. We're a week out from the All-Star game and break.
I think the range is just starting.
Yeah, I've been trying to keep an eye on all that stuff. There is stuff popping up all to the west of us here. Probably only a matter of time for us here.
Anything
Well, you aren't going to be able to tell from your angle. I'm just trying to keep track of some stuff here to make sure
So what's
we,
up
we
in
are safe.
baseball? What's going on? Talk to me about your feelings. 17 of the last 21.
Well, that's not what I was kind of going with here initially, but we're at the All-Star. We're pretty much at the All-Star break. We are officially over at least numerically that 50% mark of the season, right? Even though technically everybody says next week is halfway because
Blah blah blah.
Been a good year so far. We talked about this, a few weeks back when we were kind of discussing things, and for baseball overall, it's been a pretty good year so far, I'd say. Now, there's still some stuff to kind of dissect a little bit. I know you want to get to one thing that involves the Yankees. I actually want to get to one thing involving your Pirates,
Okay.
because I think it speaks to a little bit of a greater volume about the sport in general right now, or the league rather. But we'll start with the Yankees. I can tell you're eager. Yeah, not ideal. Kind of one of those things where you are happy you get off to the start that you do in terms of sport. I'm being honest with you. I don't have an answer for it. It's kind of wild, like kind of witnessing it in real time. And it's kind of funny. I was texting a friend of mine on Sunday about this because he's a Red Sox fan, and he's like, what the hell is going on with you guys? Like, I'm like, look, frankly, like the past week, I haven't been able to watch a ton of it anyway. And frankly, I'm kind of happy I'm not, because like I feel like I'd just be getting more upset than I need to be over it. It's kind of stuff I feel like we talked about in the offseason with them a little bit, right? Where it's just like, okay, like, cool, but like, there's not enough pizzazz, quote unquote, going on. It's tough because, like, Judge and Soto, who have kind of anchored the lineup all year offensively, they can only do so much, right? Like, that's something that.
Ask Mike Trout and Ohtani.
Right, and it's tough watching a guy, for example, like DJ LeMahieu struggle, because he's just a ball player's ball player type thing, right? And he hasn't been right for the past year and a half, and his time's probably kind of coming to an end, I would assume. It's tough because it is a friendlier contract, but like I don't know what the Yankees can kind of do. I mean, it's. Look, the Astros DFA'd Jose Abreu and released him. It's very clear that teams are not afraid to do this anymore. Madison Bumgarner with the Diamondbacks last year. I don't know if the Yankees will get to that level just yet. I think it kind of depends how the rest of the month kind of goes. Because, look, frankly, before he got hurt, Anthony Rizzo was in the same boat. Like, I don't know what the plan's going to be with him. That's still well over a month out. But
Stanton come back soon?
That's a good one. I don't know. I haven't seen anything on him, admittedly. I also haven't really
Honestly, it's crazy.
Admittedly, I also haven't really gone looking, but.
It's crazy. It is. They kind of miss him.
Yeah.
Just to have another presence in the lineup.
Yeah.
Instead of, like, put a lot of pressure on this Rice kid.
Yeah.
They bat him leadoff yesterday.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, too. Volpe is really kind of cooled off from the
really
leadoff spot. There's a lot of holes going on. The pitching, too, right now is just not in a good spot.
You think they overachieved?
I don't know about overachieved, right? But, like, they were really hot for a long time. The beauty about it this year, and this kind of goes to both leagues to a degree, kind of can get away with a little bit of this. I don't think to the degree that they're hoping for the past, 22 games, 23 games. But, yeah, I mean, the Yankees' biggest issue, again, just appears to be remaining in the AL East. Like, they just can't handle their own division rivals for whatever reason. I don't know. It's because it's not like Tampa Bay is exactly great this year by any means. This is probably the worst.
That line.
This might be the worst Tampa Bay team in about.
Their averages were
This
awful.
legitimately might be the worst Tampa Bay team in a decade, which is kind of crazy to say out loud. But like,
I watched a little bit of that game yesterday. They had some guy batting last. 0.66. He's played 33 games.
Yeah,
How the hell do you bat 0.66 and still keep a job after a month of action?
Yeah,
That's crazy to me. But the Yankees, their biggest problem is still the pitching. The hitting, they got two of the better hitters in the league. That's what makes them so popular. That's what's got them some wins this year, is because of Judge and Soto, the way they've been hitting. And they just need the other guys to step up, just occasionally, one at a time. Two different guys each night step up, produce some runs.
and not to interrupt, but like, But me and you get it. Like, we've been around baseball. We've been involved in baseball our whole lives. Like, that's at any level. We aren't dumb to this, right? But, like, it goes back to the point I brought up and you're bringing up. Like, you can't rely on two guys all year.
No.
You just can't.
And the pitching, this is my opinion,
If they're
overachieved really much at the beginning.
Yeah, I was about to say that's where there was some overachieving. Yeah, so not to interrupt, as you can tell, we have a tornado warning here in Seneca Falls now. So, Nick, we're gonna have to cut off the podcast here at this point for safety reasons. We're gonna have to get.
Can I get my one last comment here?
I will let you go quickly and throw in your shout out as well. By the way.
Carlos Rondon, man, he's got to figure it out, man. I don't know what's wrong with him.
Yeah.
We'll never get to Paul's comment about the Pirates. So that's
I just apologize, but we gotta for safety reasons we gotta get out of here. So
shout out my second cousin Andrew Crisanti, Steve Crisanti's middle child.
Oh, okay.
His son. It's his birthday tomorrow. So shout out Andrew. He was named Andrew because of Andy Van Slyke.
Really?
And maybe Andrew McCutcheon. We're still not sure. But shout out Andrew. I'm not sure how old he is now. 5, 6. It's been a while.
Old enough. So, we're going to get out of here. Apologize for having to cut it short, but we got some weather stuff we got to kind of take shelter from.
Stay tuned. 2 weeks, see if we survive.
I will hope that we do. But either way, we'll be back again in a couple weeks. Take care, everybody.
Yeah, be safe.